Governor Andrew Cuomo. Governor, thanks so much for being with us. This has to do with the dispute over Carry Guard, a type of insurance that the NRA wanted to help issue that would indemnify or at least provide resources for people to defend themselves if charged with discharging their firearm in self-defense. New York State says they can't do that. The NRA says it can, correct?
Yes, John. Good morning, John. Good morning, Allison. Yes, the states regulate insurance, as you know, and the NRA was, in essence, selling an insurance product in the state of New York called Carry Guard. It was designed for people who carry weapons, and the insurance policy essentially insured them for intentional bad acts, intentional wrongdoing, which violates the law in the state of New York and many other states. We took action against the actual insurance company. They paid a fine. They agreed to stop selling the product in a consent decree. And the NRA was involved basically as their broker, getting a commission in advertising. And that violates the law. And their complaint is, we lost money. Too bad. You violated the law, and it's not a defense to say, well, I was committing illegal activity, but I was making money from it, and now I'm upset that I lost the revenue.
You note correctly that states are the ones who regulate insurance law in this country, but there are states where this Carry Guard insurance is legal, correct?
A state can regulate its own laws. We're going to be working with the other states, and our superintendent of insurance, I'm going to have in contact with the other states. It would be highly unusual for a state to allow an insurance company to reimburse for an illegal activity. They call it murder insurance. There is no public policy in saying if you commit a crime or doing an intentional wrong act, we will, in essence, pay you for doing that.
What they would say, though, is that this includes self-defense.
I'm not an expert on all this.
What they would say is this includes self-defense, obviously, where, depending on how you prove that, would not be illegal. But that's where the distinction, the dispute lies. Let me read you the statement from the NRA and get your response to it. The NRA says our client is suffering setbacks with respect to the availability of insurance and banking services as a result of a political and discriminatory campaign meant to coerce the financial institutions to refrain from doing business with the NRA. The actions of the defendants are a blatant attack on the First Amendment rights of our organization. Your response?
Yeah. Two different points. On the insurance that they are selling, I don't think there's any question, but that is illegal and violative of public policy. They're making a different point, which is I have been a long-time opponent of the NRA. I plead guilty. I believe the NRA represents an extremist group. I believe they've been counterproductive for gun owners in this country. I believe their politics seeks them to stop any common sense gun reform, because then, John, they would be out of business. Most gun owners support some type of reasonable gun control. 90% of Americans support background checks. The NRA has always been against any progress whatsoever. They're oblivious to the facts. They've caused carnage in this nation. They've done gun owners a disservice because there is a common sense compromise. If the NRA wasn't always threatening politicians who went anywhere near reasonableness. If you remember, President Trump, after the Parkland shooting, spoke in the White House conference room and asked reasonable questions. He seemed reasonable. Why can't we raise the purchase age? Why can't we raise the age for assault weapons? He met with the NRA. He did a total 180 the next day and was absolutely against any reform. And this nation still has done nothing on guns.
Let me just note what one of the implications of the NRA is that your efforts the last weeks on this issue are political. You are engaged in a primary campaign for re-election here. You have an ad that you put up on YouTube over the weekend on this. So is there politics from your side here?
Well, this insurance action happened months and months ago, right, before any of it. But as far as their basic point that I have been opposed to the NRA politically, ideologically, morally, they are right. I plead guilty. It started when I worked in the Clinton administration. I was Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. We had something called the Safe Gun Agreement that we signed with some of the largest gun manufacturers in the United States that would have changed the way guns were distributed, would have ended the gun show loophole. Gun manufacturers, John, were agreeing and signing. The NRA found out, and they rallied all the extremists, and they stopped the gun manufacturers from signing an agreement. I mean, that's how far they have gone. I passed 5 years ago the best gun control law in the nation, and they were a fierce political opponent. They caused me all sorts of political damage. We passed the law anyway. It's been the law for 5 years. We banned assault weapons. We have a mental health database. We have everything that we are talking about doing now. And by the way, John, legal gun owners in New York still have their guns and hunters still hunt. And it shows it is possible. And the NRA hates that message.
Governor?
Because they are against any reasonable conclusion.
Governor Cuomo, we are out of time. We will get more statements from the NRA and their response to this effort you are asserting right now. Thanks so much for being with us this morning. Appreciate it, Governor. Allison.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Allison.
Yeah, Governor, it's great that you still come here, even though Chris has left us. We appreciate that you still take time.
Maybe because Chris has left.
Maybe it's because, which one is it? Because Chris left?
Well, I don't want to say, Allison, but you seem in a much better mood. I guess it's the summer months that have put you in a better mood.
That's it. That is it, Governor.
I can't imagine what else it could be.
No, it's summer. It is all the extra sunlight. Governor,
it's summer.
Always great
That's our story,
see you.
and we're sticking with it.
Yes, come back anytime. I love having the governor on.
Yeah?
Yeah. We had a whole shtick that we used to do around
Apparently
making fun of Chris.
Hasn't quite ended yet, even though Chris is
a superstar, in which LeBron James said he had no interest in sitting down with the president. Well, Mr. Trump tweeted that Don Lemon, quote, made LeBron look smart, which is not easy to do. The point of that interview with Don Lemon was that LeBron James has founded an elementary school for at-risk 3rd and 4th graders in Akron, Ohio. Joining us now is David James. He is the superintendent for the Akron Public School System, the district that oversees LeBron's I Promise school. Mr. James, thanks for being here.
Sure, you're welcome. Good morning.
Any relation with LeBron James?
No, we are not related.
Okay, so let's just put up some of the things that LeBron's school does and provides for these kids, because it's really generous. Free tuition, free uniforms, free breakfast, lunch, and snacks, free transportation within 2 miles, a free bicycle and helmet, access to a food pantry for their families, and then for every student that graduates high school, they get a guaranteed tuition to the University of Akron. So what impact will this have for at-risk kids?
I mean, I think it'll have a very big impact. You know, LeBron has always said in his experiences growing up, you know, he had to go through some of the same things that many of our most challenged students have to go through. And so our partnership with the foundation, which goes back nearly 10 years since I've been superintendent, he's always been there for the kids. He's always, you know, looked at the leaders in the community and will always say and has always said it's about the kids. So when you look at some of the social emotional issues that our children have, the I Promise School will attempt to handle some of those issues, you know, with the availability of extra counselors and, you know, for folks who have issues with food insecurity, you know, the pantry is there. We provide free breakfast and lunch to all of our students, and the transportation is the same for any K through 8 kid who lives more than 2 miles away, gets a bus ride. So it is a public school, and we're funding it as we would fund our other schools in Akron. LeBron funds and his partners fund a lot of the extras which these kids so desperately need.
So, Mr. James, what did you think when you saw the president's tweet insulting LeBron James's intelligence?
Well, you know, it reminds me, someone once told me prominent targets draw fire. You know, it was very unfortunate because LeBron, in my book, has done a great service to the kids in our community. He's been a very, upright guy. We really enjoy
Months after